maybe what in Hebrew, what the word zrizus, where it comes from. We know the alertness, the preparedness for marching, for action. So he starts, he says, even if you do have the sefer, you don't have the sefer, he says, Acha HaZehirus Yaveh Azrizus. He says in the blueprint, in the blueprint of Avodas Hashem, the first rung of the ladder is the Zehirus, that is the consciousness of being careful, of being aware that one has to remove dross and sediments from one's consciousness, from one's life, negative things. The first chapter is dealt with a person removing from his life negative behavior. In order for a person to be on the Derech Hashem, to move on the Derech Hashem, the first discipline is a profound effort to remove all negative behavior. That's the first rung of the ladder. And that was discussed in the two previous parakas. Three previous parakas. After a person has this discipline in his life, removing the negative aspects of his life, comes zrizus, comes the midah of zrizus, diligence. He says, why is it? Why is it after the hirut, after a person removes the negative, must the next step that be this concentration on doing? He explains very simply, Ki hazehirus soivet halaloi saseh v'hazrizus halaseh. V'hainu sumei rav aseitzah. He says it's simple. He says it's comparatively easy to understand the structure of a person's consciousness, his conscious mind, how he has to approach avodas Hashem. First of all, he says it's one coin with two sides. You have to look into yourself that you don't have negative characteristics, negative behavior. You must remove yourself from that. You're not traveling on the road if you're going backwards. It is after a person achieves that attitude and that hashkafa, that looking, that consciousness, that willingness. For a second, I forget that in which year we are in. We are in Tafshin Mem Beis already. In Tafshin Mem Beis, you'll go out in the street. I mean, I don't mean the street here. There's difficulties with these people in the street here. But you'll go into the campus in Harvard and MIT, and you'll stop, or in the Advanced Institute in Princeton, you'll stop a few geniuses and you say to them, I want to ask you something. Do you expend energy? Are you committed in your mind and in your toil to remove negative aspects of your behavior? So I'm sure that if the people will give you an honest response, and you'll take 100 people, I'm sure that 90 of them have no commitment, no consciousness, no push, no toil in this direction. Doing the lofty things that they might be doing. But for a person to say that the basis of my life, the yesod of my life is that first of all I'm going to have a cheshbon nefesh, I'm going to have an introspection to perhaps, who doesn't have in his life negative aspects, but that I should expend energy and willingness and intensivity to generate intensivity, to remove negative aspects. The world doesn't know about it in Tafshin Mem Beis. But the Mesilas Yesharim built on the Braysos. He says that the first rung of the ladder is to remove negative aspects. He says, and the second part of a person's avoid the worldview, of a person's relationship to the ultimate, to the emes of the Bria, to the truth of the Bria, to his relationship to the Rebbe Shalom, the second part must be, he says, zrizus is because there's an act of a seisoi. There are people who are particular and aware and conscious and expend energy not to do anything wrong. But on the other side of the coin, to do what is right, they're very far away from it. They're far from doing a ma'aseh toiv. They're far from a kindness. They're far from a whole gamut of positive acts that the person who is in the category of an Oiv Hashem has to do. That require toil, that require energy, that require thought, that require preparation, that require forethought. What am I going to do? What do I have to do? What am I omitting? What do I have to strive for with things? I told you the story. Rabbi Bita from England, Rebellia Lapian. So in his later years, he died, he was probably 100, just died a few years ago. So his later years, his wife, so she, a cat, and that's well, there's a whole department of cats from the government. Because the cats not like the cats here. The cats here over here live a very good life over here. But a cat finds in a garbage can in other countries, they make 3 meals from it. But in Israel, unfortunately, you don't find much in the garbage can except newspapers. So this little cat came to her house. So she had Rahmanas on the cat. She felt she empathized with the cat's plight, so she put out a little bowl of milk. No. An Israeli cat sees a bowl of milk, he doesn't eat more. It's a very intelligent cat. They don't eat more. The cat starts to count 3-4 times a day. No, so she adopted the cat. So when his Rebbe Elena passed away, so they saw Rabbi Lopian, who was a man of tremendous spiritual stature. He went every day to go give the cat the milk. So somebody once asked him, what? You made all right. Your wife, she took care of that lady, took care of cats, you know. I mean, what do you got to do with the cat? He said, well, I don't understand you. My family trained the cat to expect his sustenance here, and I should deny I should shirk that responsibility. We trained the cat. The cat's like a member of the family. He knows that over here he gets his life from. So I should cut him off all of a sudden. And you have to understand, I don't know if you can understand the Americans, what a person like Rebellia Lopian was. He was a shtickle malach like him. He was like a malach, and what a second meant him, he recognized that this was his responsibility. That was his uniqueness. Rebellia Lopian had to give the cat the milk. I'm sure that if the cat came to him first, he would have not give the cat milk. All right, the cat, get yourself milk someplace else. But since the cat was trained already to come to their house, this was part of his daily function. The cat is my responsibility. So here we're talking about a cat. How many responsibilities face us during the days that during the hours of the day that we are awake, that we're totally oblivious to? I could sit down if I wanted. We could all take a pen and paper and have a discussion, and we could make a campfire right over here, like we have in the summertime, and get somebody with a guitar, and we can make a discussion about the responsibilities and the things, the positive mindset that we have to do during the day that face us. If we don't do it, I'm sure, if we have a discussion, maybe at a sometimes between all of us, we'd make a whole list of little things that face us, that's avoided Hashem. That it's the responsibility and the achrayus of the Erlich Yid that Yidden in Europe did it. Oivdei Hashem did it. Did you see those 3 guys coming around to raise some money? Who do you think they are? Every one of them works, makes more money than probably all of us put together. What are they coming around here to collect money for? Because Chassidim, there's such a thing, the Satmar Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, taught them that you are responsible to help needy people. You can't say, I give to the Federation my yearly check and finished, my door is locked. Then one guy came around for a sick family. The other 2 guys came around for Chassan and Kali. You know what it is to get married in Eretz Yisrael. An impossibility. You're talking about an apartment. You rent an apartment. You have to understand, you're talking about 50, 60, 70, 80, $100,000 people that don't have what to live from. How do they do it? It's not an exaggeration that Jews die from aggravation and Israel. Parents die from heart attacks because of the stress of marrying off a child. The Rebbe taught him, this guy gets a letter, and they get a letter, so they take off from work a few hours and they go around to the shul. So let's say he made over here $15, $20. He goes to another shul. They put together for like $50 tomorrow. He'll go another week for a few weeks. So from 10, 20 people go out, you help a fellow, you put together a few $1,000s. Is that in our world for you? That's a fake toy. That's doing what you have to do. A Jew came to us, he called me up at Rosh from the Shabbos. A Jew, he came up in the mountain. Baruch Hashem, we raised $1,000 for them. What do? In Williamsburg, there are a lot of Talmidei Chachamim, they don't know what to eat. They said, they're poor. With 13 kids. How much does a pair of shoes cost today for a kid? Let's say an average. $20, costs more. How much is 13 times 20? We need a mathematician. So you're in out, twice a year. I mean, where would they got it? These guys come, they put together money. A whole group of people, Talmidei Chachamim. Shabbos, to your house is delivered fish and chicken and meat and eggs and fruit and challah and cake and vegetables. They don't even... They ring the bell and goodbye. I just couple these are big things. There are tiny things in a safe toys. We're not conscious of it because the chlor, we don't have it. We're not into what is the structure of it. I knew an old Jew. He was alone in the world. He was a Rav. And in the Bronx, those days the Bronx was populated by people. It was a thriving community. And today it's like a war-torn community. But in the Bronx, there was an old Rebbe and her husband died. And she got up later from Shiva Friday morning. And this guy lived, who knows, I think he lived in Boston. He lived in Boston, near Boston and Chelsea. He came, Erev Shabbos, went up to the Bronx, went into a shul, slept on a bench, and got himself to eat someplace. And he was a prestigious man. He figured out that the first Shabbos, she'll be alone. It'll be a whole lot of an old woman. I would say, well, right, it's not going to be so hard on her. She's in her 80s. Her husband lived to a ripe old age. But he figured out, he knew the family, that the first Shabbos will be hard on her. He left his home in Boston, slept on a bench in a shul, schnorred out a place to stay, a rough. And he went Friday night to talk to her, to reminisce about old times, and spent the whole Shabbos day with her, after davening, to talk with her that the first Shabbos should fall together. He saw it. We don't see such responsibilities in our life. We don't, with the chalal, our minds are not working. And I mean myself, I don't just say, I mean me first. There were people, the Mesillas Yesharim, the fanatical Sefer. Pure man. He says, you're a person, you want to live in a Avodas Hashem. You want to be an Avodas Hashem. So we have Fruma tendencies. Our whole energies are committed surmirat. All kinds of despondence. We look and and that's wrong. Because if a person considers the other side of the coin, that faith toys, and a person expends energy what I could do and what I should do, what are the responsibilities that face me? And if he becomes alive and active and thinking in that direction, it has an effect on the Sumeratu. And it has such a therapeutic effect that without despair, without despondency, without aggravation, without mortification, without marishvara, a person becomes alive. We don't know. Hundreds of things face us during the day. Little things that we don't even know responsibility. Go upstairs, eat breakfast. Right? Would it be Harvard over here, I imagine, where they have 45 people, probably a few hundred people working in the kitchen. So you get up and you leave your dishes on the table. If we to sit down and have a discussion. If a bacher eats breakfast here and he takes 2 plates and a fork and a spoon and a knife and he gets up and he benches and au revoir. If we're to sit down and honestly have a discussion, does David Moyes have to come or somebody else come clean up after you? Wouldn't you be one little hairbreadth more over Hashem if you said, I hate. Why does somebody else have to be my tree after me? Let me clean up my spot. I won't be a chassid. I'm not going to clean up the whole table. Where I ate? What kind of brius, what kind of helpiness is such an attitude? I told you, he used to come to my house. The older people in Yeshiva maybe remember him. He used to, when we first organized Yeshiva, he used to come once a year. Rav Chatko Petrovich from Yerushalayim, a friend of our family, a tzaddik. He had to watch him eat. So he used to be by us a day or two when he came to Farakoi to collect money. So my wife would take out a white tablecloth and it was a big kamachach and make a whole to-do about it. When he got through eating, where he ate was exactly like you put the tablecloth before. He wouldn't leave a crumb. I used to make myself dumb. I wanted to see what. He said, Rav Chatko, what are you doing? He says to me, because I ate here, somebody else has to bother to clean it up. That's what a safe toys. People take out a safer. So there's some bachrim that for years, and there was one, not here now, there was one bacher in the yeshiva that used to bother me. He was an OC. Obsessive compulsive. The firm had to be put away. In my heart, I knew he's right. If I take out a sefer, so Friday, some 2 bachrim that, they have to put it away. It's a little thing. If you could sit. I say toys. It's posher during the day. Sometimes hundreds of things come up during. Not going out of your way. What you have to do. It sounds like posher to Sachen, but you don't think about it. There is a Yetzirah, there's a Fruma Yetzirah, he wants you to think about the negative things. He knows if you'll think about your negative behavior, you'll get depressed. You get depressed, you won't daven, you won't learn. To go around with a sourpuss. So that's his profit. But if a person makes a cheshbon, what do you have to do? And when you think what they have to do, each person according to circumstances has golden opportunities. And later on we'll see, when we learn more, we'll see the world, the visible world, the world that's apparent, is not the depth and the profundity of the world. The profundity of the world is a sudden mystery. What we are doing here in this world is a mystery. What the reason we were created for is a mystery. Almost an unfathomable mystery. But one thing we know clearly, that the first steps in understanding this mystery is that man was created for tikkunim. That That man was created for tikkunim means letaken. That man was created that in his life he should better things and adjust things and make the world a better place. The mind of the whole society is not on this track. The neshama of the whole society is sick, critically ill. The neshama of society is to destroy and to deface and to defile and to hurt. And the Torah teaches us, you should know in the deepest, I'm telling you a word, tikkunim. I tell you a word, l'takel tikkunim, you should know I bring it to you from the deepest. That's the goal, tikkunim. That's the highest point in man, the highest point. He rises to his greatest nobility, to his greatest kedusha tikkunim. The avoid of tzaddikim, all their strength and all their energy, all their anything, all their learning, and all the fine points in the Gemara, and in the Rishonim and the Achronim, and all the kashas and all the Turitzim, is to put things in razor sharp focus. This is the way it should be. So we should be able to get there. What does a holiday look like here in New York? I read sometimes about a Mardi Gras. You know, a festivity. What? Drunken. I read, there's a magazine called American Heritage. There is a picture, a painting in a museum, one of these inspired paintings of when the two railroads met, when they finished the railroad from the Pacific to the Atlantic. You see the two engineers look like angels with their eyes up, and the two men with their long coats are shaking, and the Indians are kneeling. So this is a historical magazine. So they show you a true photograph of what happened on the day that the two trains met. Everybody in town was drunk. They destroyed the whole town. They nearly destroyed the railroad. They killed people. They were stabbing each other. But in the museum, you see a picture, you know. And the artist, because the artist was sensitive. He projected his feelings the way it should look, such as it should. Because the railroad was a ticking. But the society is sick. You don't know because we're part of it. Sick. And Yiddishkeit, the Mamish Yiddishkeit, the whole thing is to be mitzaken. From Gashmias to Ruchnias, from this to that. Tikkun. A whole gamut, who knows how many nekudas of Avodah I say toys. And that's the second rung of the ladder. That's the second rung of the ladder. Tzaddikim were. You know, many people accuse us. People, you know, unwittingly and without malice accuse us. You know, well, you know, this guys, they're removed from the world. I knew the Ponevezh Rav Zechron Levracha that built the yeshiva in Ponevezh. And I happened to speak to him a few times. So when they built the yeshiva, I don't know today, they had flowers in front of the yeshiva. They had the work they call gardeners, landscape people. It was the Ponevezh Rav. He wanted in the original plans that the whole outside of the building should be marble, white marble. But after consideration, they said, that there was a Holocaust. In mourning, it was a little too much. He was the one that said he didn't make it marble. But his aesthetics. What's the shot? His whole gaze was to better and to adjust and to fix. So not only was it in the yeshiva, in the yeshur, in the Rosh Yeshivas, in the Torah, and the Avodah, it was down to the flowers. I was with him in a hotel, and it doesn't exist anymore. It's by the Mediterranean, the Malon Yisrael. I told you once, the owner of the hotel wrote about he gave out a tillin with 20 fat volumes, a collection on tillin. So in the hotel there was a big dining room, and on his table, it was the only table there was, whenever he ate, a vase with a rose. The Rebbe put it there. I was thinking, I said to myself, it's so appropriate why she did it, because he was a person of total aesthetics, and she became aware of it, that whatever he does was beauty. It was Mida Keneged Mida, she responded. It was the only table I had a rose. So, it's not say toys. In the Seres, he made sure that when you have to think, everybody, my favorite. Your favorites are not worth one schmeck of snuff. We have to think more in a faith toys. Learning, davening, chesed, to help each other, to respect each other, not to hurt each other, to give strength to each other, to give each other. It's just an introduction to the parents. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll write it to the davening. The Sharem was Mazda that they explained that there's a flame to avoid Hashem, and the first two rungs of the ladder are the Zrizus and Zrizus. And the Lashon is Acha HaZehiras, after Zehiras, which is the consciousness to be careful to rid oneself of all negative behavior. Yoba Zrizus comes to Zrizus and explains that the trait of the Zrizus relates to the negative aspects of human behavior. Now Zrizus, Allah say, and Zrizus, diligence, assiduousness relates to the positive behavior of a human being, which is Miram is in the Pasuk, which is in the Pasuk, it's still Miram, let's say so. Now I want to explain the next line. The Inyanai Shal Zrizus Mevoya, he says, the content, the substance of Zrizus will be explained. Shehu ha'akdama l'mitzvah u'ahashlamas inyana. He says that there are in Zrizus, in the tnuah, the shebenefesh, this that a person's neshama reaches out to do something, that a person rises from a passive state to do something. He says there are two aspects to this experience. One is that it's a hakdama to mitzvah, it's a preface to mitzvah, and two, it is a hashlama of mitzvah. Hashlama means showing a wholeness. It makes the mitzvah a completion, a fruition. It makes the mitzvah whole. And this is what we have to try and understand this morning. What is he saying here? What are these two things that are in, what are these two ingredients that are in zrizus? In order to understand this, I have to tell you over a verse from the first Ger Rebbe, the Chedush Yerim, the Tzachmeh, the Kutu Yod Malayin. He once asked a very practical question. We know and we believe that a person shapes his destiny to a large extent. He's responsible for his actions to a large extent. When I say the word a large extent, there's a discussion, there's a certain percentage of our existence that's beyond our bechira, our part of choice. But to a large extent, we do have bechira. So he asked the following question. He says, in the experience and in the odyssey of a person relating to Torah and mitzvah, he says, what is his? You put on a talis and tefillin in the morning. Did you invent the tefillin? He says, Bishlan, that some Jew would have invented tefillin. He would have said it's a good idea to wear tefillin in the morning. Kivayachal, if it were possible for a person to invent tefillin. If it were possible for a person to invent tefillin. He says, so then he created the film, so then we understand what it is. Just for putting on film, the Rebbe told us to put on film is what's ours? We're subservient to the will. I want to explain his question a little more. We're subservient to the will of the Rebbe. The Rebbe said put on film every morning. So what are we doing? We're doing the Rebbe Shalom's rutzah. We're doing the Rebbe Shalom's will. He says, but he asks, what in avodas Hashem, what in the service, in the relationship of the person to the Rebbe Shalom, is his contribution, his unique contribution, totally his. The film is the Rebbe Shalom. We have no alternative. We have to listen to the Rebbe Shalom whether we want it or not. And even if we don't want it, the Navi screams, "B'cheino shkucha emlech alechem." There'll come a time with a poured out wrath. I'll rule over you, whether you want it or not. That's a discussion in itself. What do you mean with a poured out wrath? B'cheino shkucha emlech alechem. So the film is the Rebbe Shalom, the Tzitzis is the Rebbe Shalom, the Shabbos is the Rebbe Shalom, the Tzitzis that we should do it. What's ours? What's purely in avodas Hashem? What can we say? This is ours. This is mine. This is my contribution to avodas Hashem. He said, the answer is, he said, in Yiddish he said that the answer is, that sitter b'shafech to understood. The quiver, the shiver and the quiver that a person feels when he puts on the film, that's it. I want to explain what he means. Please don't suspect me of being a prophet of doom or a pessimist. I'm not that. I'm the opposite of that. My whole nature is optimism. But the fact is, we live in a raisin generation. We live in people are shriveled up, the stature of people are so small, so myopic. It's a terrible shit, terrible. How small civilization and culture has reduced people to. He said that avodas Hashem is a two-way relationship. It involves two parties, that's a fact. The Rebbein Kol HaOlamim, the Rebbein Shalom, the Borei Olam, the creator of the whole cosmos and beyond. And little man. The old adage, and it takes two to tango, is true over here. Avodas Hashem involves two parties. So he said, the Rebbe Shalom told you, do Taryag Mitzvah. Do Taryag Mitzvah. Okay, that's all yours. What's fine? If you want to, you could say simply, even that's not the awe and the emotion are my contribution.
A fellow can put on film in the morning. My father will break my bones if I don't put him on. That's the way he puts on film in the morning. A fellow can sit and mind, my mother won't feed me if I don't go to yeshiva. That's all. That's very small. That's very, a little footy. They say over on Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Badichva that the night before Sukkot, the night of Sukkot, the first night, he couldn't sleep all night. And mostly Sukkot, he couldn't sleep all night either. Why? The first night of Sukkot, he couldn't sleep. He was so excited. You have to understand, you have to know the biography. There are pretty good biographies of Rabbi Yitzchak. He couldn't sleep the first night. He was so excited in the morning to be Mekayim once a year, the first time the mitzvah of Lulav and Esrei. He couldn't sleep. And the last night of Yom Tov, he was so excited, he didn't put on film for 8 days. He was so excited, tomorrow morning I'm putting on film. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't, it wasn't an exaggeration. Wasn't, you think it's an exaggeration? Wasn't it? Those that know the type of Kedusha Slavi and those that know what kind of a personality, what his contribution to Avodah Hashem was. He saw a mitzvah. He saw through his avodah, he became so crystallized, so mavura. You understand? His look on the world was clear. Let me explain something. Our look on the world is tinctured and tainted through our own failures, through the communal failures, through the failures of whole civilization. We look at the world. We have a very certain distorted look at the world. Ma'aser Shahoya. Certain Talmid Chacham once had to keep them in the house. Just if I was married. And he used to come from Israel, and he had to keep them in the house when he came to the house. One summer I was away. I come home during the summer. I see someone is in the house. I wasn't frightened. Those days we weren't frightened. I come in, he's there. How long have you been here? I've been here a week already. I said, what did you live on? I know. I said, what did you eat? I said, look, I'm bread and chocolate. Bread and cacao. No milky. He says, bread and cocoa. I said, what was he doing? I know what he was doing. He wanted to be alone. He was learning the whole week. How does a person live on bread and cocoa? How do you do it? The heritage question. His joy of learning, what he saw in learning, was so satisfying to him. It was so exciting for him to learn. It was such a pleasure to him to understand the sugya in the Gemara of Oises and Hashba, a medrash, a machshava in the Rishonim, in Chumash, a Ramban in Chumash. He just had to satisfy his hunger, that's all his hunger. But in Daniel, he didn't do it. They're not that great. And I'm not talking about somebody, I'm not talking about crying, or if I'm caught, I'm not talking about we, unfortunately, we don't even know what we're missing. When an Oiver Hashem sees a mitzvah, we're beginners. We don't have to be frustrated, and we don't have to become confused, and we don't have. But you have to understand what he's talking about. A mitzvah needs a preface. What do you do? There are prefaces that we can make. Maybe not the preface of this Talmid Chacham. You know, but there are minimal prefaces that a person makes, and we don't make it. A person could make a cheshbon nefesh. A person is a maimin. A person has faith. A person has a munah. A person gets up in the morning. He could stop the tumas. What am I going to do? I'm going to put on film. I'm going to put on the difference. I'm going to take something to dinner. I'm going to say brachas. I'm going to let him tishman. And I'm going to be foul to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I mean, minimal things. Knowing what I'm doing. And the more Talmid Chacham a person becomes, the more he sees in the mitzvah. And the more gravitation a person has in his neshama towards a mitzvah, that's the completion of a mitzvah. A mitzvah is incomplete. If I sit by the Gemara because my mother's going to throw me out of the house because I don't learn, or if I put on film and keep shop because my father will beat me up if I don't do it, it's a mitzvah, but it's a mitzvah that's very anemic. It's a mitzvah that's lacking. There's a tremendous lacking in it. The poetry, the poetry and the music of the relationship between a Jew and the Rebbeinu Shalom, the completion is in the hands of the Yisrael. It's the feeling that he puts into a mitzvah that completes the mitzvah. Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm happy. Rebbeinu Shalom, I know it's difficult for me. I don't understand the Gemara. I don't know how to read the words right. I don't know what all the words mean. And when I know how to read it right, and when I know all the words, I don't see the Gemara's point yet. It's so frustrating. It's so difficult. Rebbeinu Shalom, still it's your turn. I'm happy to learn your turn. Rebbeinu Shalom, Shabbos is coming. I'm happy. The Mesilas Yesharim here in two words talk, and I didn't even begin to talk about the topic. He says the words, it's so pregnant with meaning and thought. It's so latent. He says the word zrizus, and I'm going to explain to you a theory I have about the word zrizus. This is purely, I don't know, I offer it as a suggestion. But he says, if you're Medaikin, he says when he begins to give you the anatomy of zrizus, he says in zrizus there are two things. It's a preface to a mitzvah, and it's the shleimus of a mitzvah. It's the completion. That's why it's not here. I want to explain to you what the word zrizus, that I think the word zrizus means. I might offer a suggestion that the word zrizus comes from the word zeir. The chumash, zeir lashulchan, it means like a crown. The crown that a Ben Yisrael wears. When do you reach a nobility, an aristocracy in Avodas Hashem? When a person feels gravitated towards the mitzvah, he feels a pull towards the joy in the mitzvah. This is his. The crown is not the mitzvah that I put on film myself, because that's the Rebbeinu Shalom's part. But how I put on film, how I learn Torah. The Rebbeinu Shalom just opened. It's a Pella de Kezach. I'll tell you all the things. In the Medrash Chachonim it says, there's a Medrash that calls Taryag Mitzvah, Taryag Itn. 613 advice of Asa. In Aramaic, advice, the word Asa, the Hebrew word Asa, which means an advice, in Aramaic is Itn, Ayin Yud Het. The Taryag Mitzvahs are not, whether we understand it or not, they're not capricious decisions of a despot. The Borei Kol Ha'olam, the Rebbeinu Shalom that created the whole cosmos. To make the first Big Bang. From nothing, ex nihilo. The Rebbeinu says, do this. What do you know? What is our myopic vision? What do we see and what do we know? What do we know? What do we know? What? Would take hours to explain, even in science today, in the higher echelons of science, between the more objective scientists, the climate of not knowing, of recognizing that it's a mystery should be mystery. Only the little egomaniacs that walk around, and strut around on this planet, the little specks of unexpected dust that strut around, and they, The name we don't see. It's a person goes over. My relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom, my rendezvous with the Rebbeinu Shalom, the person grows and feels it about. We can't, we're at the beginning, we're all beginners. We don't have that humility, that healthy humility to understand. They said on the Chafetz Chaim, I heard from numerous people that knew the Chafetz Chaim, that when he used to say Tachton, he used to say, Vanachnu Boishes Afonim, Tachton says, Vanachnu Boishes Afonim, and our face is embarrassed that his face used to suddenly turn red in the middle of Tachton. Chaim saw it. There's an union of preface to a mitzvah. For us, to be practical, for us a preface for a mitzvah is learning the Torah about it. Shulchan Aruch, after the Madrasha, the Sifrei Rishonim, the Achronim, the Machshavos, that's a preface. You don't learn about Shabbos, you have to know Hilchos Shabbos. Then you have to learn the Rishonim, what they said about Shabbos. There are other Rishonim. The Maral, they ferreted out and they brought out all the brilliance of the mitzvah. That's the rest of preface. And after we properly absorb into our neshamas these things, then we try to hold the cheshbon nefesh, we could conclude the mitzvah, we see our thing according to our law. We live in a society, I know myself, who's saying? Who's saying? I mean, who? Have you ever thought from a chacham? Right, you see a lot of Kiddush, you say with me, how to prepare, running, how to prepare for Shabbos. What do you think all this different clothing comes from? It's not that's an experience. Our contribution. This is the thing I went by a Rebbe. Was by the rhythm of the Rebbe. So, not as strong. I don't understand. As he's down in the room, he asked the Rebbe, he's looking for a different garment. He was wearing the garment. He was looking for a different garment. I didn't understand what that meant. I was probably I have to be tall. I have a big hat and a long beard and twice. What I'm other person is somebody that he felt that you have to receive it. I love somebody. Mind you, you have to receive them differently. You have to put on a different garment. You'll know all the four Shulchan Aruchs, word for word by heart. You'll not find it. Yes, you'll find that have to be Machabes certain things. His contribution was his response to somebody that reported something. His vision would have been better, he would have taken what they got more. But he had to make them out of sensational. What do you think those clothing for? Middle Ages? What are you crazy? No, it's good to come to shul with your shirt open till your foot, and with 5,000 colors, and you should look like maybe with a t-shirt. You should come to shul. That's okay. That's really your thing. In the mitzvah, your contribution is the preface to the mitzvah. And then in your head, if you have something in your head, if you're Ben Torah, if you're Talmud Chacham, you're mashal the mitzvah. So you have it now, you understand. If you look in the Siddur, in the beginning of the Siddur, it says, Hashem Yichud, it's a film. What's this Hashem? It's not mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. Roma. It's totally the contribution of Shlomo Freifeld. He wanted to go with a mitzvah like this, or he wanted to do something. Probably starts Maria Kodesh. He wanted to do something to be mashal in the mitzvah, to make it whole. I'm putting on the Tush of Yad to make it Alev. It's all Kabbalah. I'm putting on the Tush of Rosh to make it Amoyach. Before they did it, they wanted to create leaning towards the mitzvah, panting for the mitzvah. That's the reason.